This video is brought to you by TS4U IT Engineering Bootcamp.
Okay, Mr. Shiblu, tell me about yourself.
All right, so thank you very much. So I think you guys know people call me Shiblu. Some of the people call me Blue. Whatever you feel comfortable, I'm good with that. I hope you guys are doing great and you guys can hear me clearly. If you are not, please let me know. So my recent job, actually, I have been involved in throughout the multiple project, and I want to actually the share with one of the project and the several features I am exclusively responsible, and I'm actually the go-to person for each of the feature. So it is e-commerce based the platform, the single owner. It means our company give the e-commerce platform as a SaaS-based platform to the company, like the mid-size company who is selling the $5 million, $6 million the sale. So they do not have the e-commerce platform, or their platform is not like the robust, and we actually provide them the e-commerce platform. So based on this, there is a seller portal. That's where all the seller maintain their product. There is a buyer portal. That's where actually buyer login, and the website. This is as of now, this is completely based on the web-based solutions. So I am responsible for the seller portal features and buyer portal features. For the seller portal, I am responsible for the features, which is the product management and the user management. For the buyer portal, I'm actually the buyer, the login, the sign up to all the buyer, the functionality, I am responsible. So we have been following the Agile Scrum for the 2 weeks sprint, and we have the project management platform that all the user story, the features, epic user story is maintained, and then we have a sprint planning meeting where we get our the user story assigned to me. In the planning meeting, we have the high priority user story is actually discussed and assigned to me. I actually get around the 7 to 8 user story on each of the sprint. Sometimes it can be less, sometimes it can be more. Sometimes actually get the carryover user story that in the past sprint, the development is done, the sprint testing will be done. So it's the variation of the user story. So let me tell about the Scrum lifecycle. The Scrum lifecycle is the planning meeting. We have the daily Scrum for 15 minutes between the call and the chat group update, and then also the technical review meeting. I join for the user story. I am responsible. Also the what is called I set up the review meeting for like the test case review meeting, and also the sprint release meeting as well. And I also lead the show and tell for my own user story. So that's the Scrum activities. For we have a testing activities as well. We have our own life cycle. So prepare the test cases. Before prepare the test cases, I actually prepared the test data for the user story I have assigned to myself. And then I maintain the Excel, as well as we have the test case management platform, and that actually we use all the test data management. I prepared the test cases, the drop test cases, and I review with our internal QA. So based on the feedback, actually I fix all the test cases. Once actually the code is completed, and I actually join the code review meeting. At the same time, I review the test cases with the developer and the product owner, because this is our internal process to review the test cases with the development team. At the same time, in the same technical review meeting, if I have any questions, I actually ask. At the same time, I actually review my test data that I have prepared for all these test cases. So that's our internal process. Once the DevOps engineer deploy the code in the test environment, I actually start performing the smoke testing and the details functional testing. So I have as I mentioned, internal test case management tool. This is actually, I manage the test scenario and the test plan, the details test cases for each of the user story to follow the features, and then actually the link them. Each of the user story is linked with the features, and the features is linked with the epic. And my test cases is linked with the user story. The bug also linked with the user story. So entire things actually provided all this functionality, provided our internal test case management tools. This internal tools. It is not like a Jira or any other tools, but this is very robust that we use so that we can see the entire traceability metrics for each of the testing. And also when I generate the report, it shows the very details, like the number of test cases for this user story, functional test cases, regression test cases, integration test cases, positive test cases, negative test cases, as well as I segmented for the mobile test cases, the backend test cases, the GUI test cases, the seller test cases, the buyer test cases. It's all actually separate them out. And once the generate the report, it's amazing report. It shows the entire traceability metric for a given feature. So this is actually all part of our test case management tool. So based on let's go back with the testing. While I perform the testing, actually go over each of the test cases that I developed. But I actually execute the test cases the other quality assurance have developed, because we have the cross-functional test case execution. Means what I develop, the other quality assurance, the personnel will be executing. What he has developed, I will be executing those test cases. So that is cross-validation and what is called the cross, the functional, the testing, the process in our cases. So it means because in some cases we found out the test case I developed, when I execute them, I barely found any bug. So then we actually build a process that came up a process that the test case will be executed the opposite person. So once a test case execution is done, we create the report and actually attach the report. It goes with the user story, and then of course everybody can see. While I actually execute the test cases, I found so many bugs for the user management, so many bugs I found on the product management, so many bugs I found on the user management. I can particularly mention some of the bugs when you'll be asking the questions details. I'm expecting you'll be asking me some questions about the bug and the test cases. We have actually the test automation for the graphical user interface website, also the test cases, automation test cases for the backend. And I am using actually the Selenium WebDriver for the graphical interface automation. I use the Java, the Selenium WebDriver, and then actually I have the BDD, the library, TestNG, and I actually have the page object model, and then also that I use the Maven for all the dependency management. So all the page object model has been the design by each of the user management feature. Under each of the pages, I have store all the elements under each of the separated page object model, and I have created the base test case, where I actually store all the initial test case, the test, whatever called the user login functionality, and I have actually the classes separately where all the reusable the method I have built, and then in the TestNG, actually I have used all the annotation before, after, and the parameterization all the way actually design my test cases. And then once my functional testing done in our manually, then actually run all my the automation at the same time for the GUI, and I actually run all my automation on the Postman. In the Postman, I follow the test design for the functional, regression, smoke, integration, mobile, and the seller web portal, seller buyer portal, and the website. And in the Postman, I actually the design, the features, collection, then the functional testing, the different folder, the regression, the integration, all this very beautifully designed. So I run them and after my manual test case is done, so that I can see number of test cases pass, number of test cases fail. When the test cases pass, all good. When the test cases fail, I actually go over each of the test cases fail, and I compare which the test cases fail if it is impacted by the recent the what is called the release, like our recent all the current sprint user story. If it is affected, then actually I create a bug, and then the go to the bug triage meeting. Actually, they explain to the product owner and the specific developer. Once this becomes a genuine bug, means this bug is not just for the bad test data or the bad the test steps. So once it accepted as a solid the bug, and then it is assigned to the developer to fix it. Once the developer fix, then actually I actually retest run the backend testing again, or the GUI automation again. Once it passed, and I close the bug. So this is kind of the life cycle for the entire journey. And I work in the multiple project. Some project I was responsible for the backend testing exclusively. Some project I was actually the variation, the front end and the backend. And some of the project I was actually the responsible for the entire manual testing.
Recording too? Okay.
Hey, Ashraf, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clear.
So I have received your resume. We are looking for a manual test analyst for an application we are developing. So it is basically for the heavily the web-based application, the test analyst role. Because all the backend testing is done, the developer actually the consuming all the backend API. So this interview will be the 25 to 30 minutes. We would like to just to go over your resume as well as your thought process of the different type of testing approach, the best practices. So that's about the job role. Do you have any question?
No, I don't have any question right now, but I'll be taking notes of the question so I can stay on the right question. So if that takes a second, apologize for that.
So what is your actually testing life cycle?
So testing life cycle. Okay, so I'll go over the whole testing life cycles, or how do we get the test and to the end of it, right? So first of all, we receive our user stories and stuff, and after we get our receive our user story in our sprint meeting, we go over the requirement analysis, where we talk about the testing priorities, and we gather all the details, and we focus on the answers. We focus on it. Then we do our test planning, where we prepare for the test plan. We prepare a strategy of documentation of our various type of testing, and then we do our test case development. In this phase involves creating verification and rework or test cases and test scripts. And then we go over our environment setup. That's when we test the environment. We decide the software and hardware condition under which the work product is tested, and then we do our test execution, which is when during this phase test teams will carry out the testing based on the test plans, and then the test cases prepared. And then if we find our bugs and stuff, we will be reported back to the development team for connection, and retesting will be performed. And then we close our test cases, which is the team will meet, discuss, and analyze the testing and artifacts to identify the strategies that have been implemented in the future, and taking lessons from the current test. Hold on one second, wait. Just cancel this one. Just cancel this one for a second, please.
Cancel what?
Yeah, just cancel the recording. All right, so testing life cycle is after we get our user stories and everything from the product, from the developers and product owners and wherever it's coming from, and then we understand the requirement and everything for our test. And after we understand the requirement, and we have after we understand the requirement, we do our test planning, and when the test planning is done, we develop our test. From the test planning, we create our test cases and test scenarios, and then we do our tests. We do our testings, and where after we develop our testing, we in the developing our testing, we use our test data and everything, require test data and everything, and then so we do our testing, and in the testing phase, if we find any bugs and stuff, we report our bugs, and then after doing the bug reporting, we hold on a second. I'm sorry, but I'm just give me a second. Okay. Okay, can I do it again?
Mhm.
You wanna cancel the recording?
That's fine, no worry. It's a one recording, so.
Testing life cycle. Okay, so testing lifecycle, when we're talking about testing lifecycle, we first get our requirements and everything from the product owners, and after we gather the requirement, we have our meetings where we do in the meetings we gather all our test data, and we learn about the test environments and every possible way we need to do our testing, and then we create our test scenarios from the test cases. So we get the test cases from user story, and then we create our test.
So I can you just create a test cases for the a profile update? A user can update their profile with there is a 6 field, the name, the phone number, the address, and their what is this called? The email, and
And
work location. So can you just tell me how you can create the test cases for this?
well, it's going to be a multiple test cases to create this one, and the way we can create an effective test case is we have to first define a clear objective and goal of the test case, and after we know
Can you
and we identify the test
define
requirements.
what we means here?
Sorry?
Can you define we?
Oh. Okay, so what I was saying is it's going to be a multiple test cases to do all this testing. It's not going to be covered under one test case, right? So if I have to make effective test case, I have to first identify the objective and goal, which is something we get from our user story and the meetings we do. And after that, from when we know and our goal is clear for the test case, our goal is my goal is clear for the test case. I identify the test requirement, and after the test requirements are understood, I choose the appropriate test techniques that need to be followed. Sometimes the test techniques are already set up by the company I'm working with, but if not, then I find the best techniques that I follow, and then I the look for the data I need to use for the test cases. So if I already have the phone number, email address, and everything all in the system, then I use those data, those specific inputs to get my outputs for the test cases, right? And then I prioritize which one to do first. So like if you wanna do the address field first, or the email, or the name and phone number. So based on that, I prioritize which one to do first, or if there is already a priority set up, I just follow that. And then after the test cases are prioritized, then we do the testing and then review. I mean, I do the testing and I review the test and validate the test cases with my coworkers or whoever available, right? And then throughout the test lifecycle, even after closing it, if there's need to be new testings done, need to be done on that one, or if there is any update coming or any after any update, I also update the test case as needed.
Thank you. So
And
how did you do the sanity testing? What is sanity testing? How did you do that?
so sanity testing is something we do at the beginning stage of the test lifecycle, right? So it will be like a day one testing, and where sorry, that I'm talking about my mistake. I'm talking about smoke testing. So sanity testing. So these are really good test cases. The name, phone number, email address are very good to do sanity testing. So before releasing any product or anything to the market, if we just want to quickly check if all these inputs are taken by the system or if it's working correctly, I just do the sanity testing. So when we do this testing, we don't have to worry about if the we don't have to worry about the bigger problems or the backends and this and that. I just do the regular testing. I go in as a user, as a client, and I put the informations, all the inputs, and I see if the software is taking it and if it's
Can you
working.
can you tell me some of the test parameter how you built in one of your test cases?
Well, so in the product management tool I used, which was also used for doing our manual testing, and I can talk about that, the test parameters. So first of all, we have to understand the test parameters and why do we have it. So in the test parameters, what we do, in the test parameter, what I do is I set up all the test data and everything which can be reused throughout the test cases. So suppose if the test case you gave me in that one, if I have a address or the phone number or email that I need to use multiple time in one specific test cases, in one specific user story and where there is multiple test cases I have to do under it, then in my software, in my product management tool or the manual testing tool that I used, where I stored the data and I could just use the.
Why do we use the test parameter? Or
Basically, we use it. I use it most of the time for the reusability benefit of it. So if I have the test parameter set up and all the data in it, then I can quickly use it in any of the test cases I do.
So the question is, have you used any test parameter in your any of the test?
Yes, I've used multiple time test parameters. So suppose when I had to do our phone number verification or the OTP verification in some of the test cases, in my test data, I had couple numbers because to receive OTP, we couldn't use multiple phone numbers or random numbers because we had to get verification code in our number. So there was a phone number in our data that I used.
Got it. I have a
do
next
testing.
question.
Sure.
The next question: why do we use do you know what is test configuration?
Yeah, test configuration, right.
Why do we use the test configuration?
Well, test configuration is very important because very important to do because when you do testing, you have to know what environment you're doing your testing on. Suppose you want to do a testing on your MacBook. So the software, when you do manual testing, the test need to have a specific operating system and the device, which is called the test bed or testing harness that we have to set up. So when we do test configuration, in the configuration, you can set up those variable, and when you do your testing, you can add those variable configuration in those tests. So that's when you can specify that I have done this manual testing, this login on iPhone 14, or I've done this on an Android, or when we do it on our operating system, you can specify that I've done it on our MacBook or version this, or I've done it on the window, on a window operating system, which was Windows 10, and on an Opera browser or in a whatever browser you want to do. So this is the test. This is the stuff I need to set up, and this is.
What considered a test case pass?
Well, a test case pass is when you put the right input and the result came out, and which is matching. So basically, it's matching the expected and.
What considered a test case fail?
What test case fail is when you input a data and it doesn't match with the output. Like if you wanna put this and you want it to pass, you wanna put a name. When you put an OTP number, just in case, you wanna put an OTP number and it's not matching with the number that you're supposed to put. The actual result not matching with the expected result basically means the test case is not passing.
So I have the 10 steps in one of the test cases. 9 step pass, 1 step fail. What is this configure? What is considered this?
Could you sorry, can you ask me the question again, please?
I have a test case, the
Yes.
15 steps.
Mm-hmm.
The 14 step pass, 1 step fail. What do you consider?
Yes.
What is this considered this test case? The result.
Well, the result is this: the 14 of them passed and 1 of them failed. The whole test, we have to see which part of the test case failed, basically. But
Thank you.
to be considered this test case pass, all the 15 have to pass. So if 1 of them failed, we need to go update the test case and make sure all the passes to be considered this one a pass. So to answer your question in short, we consider that one as a failed test case.
Thank you.
So the first question is, what is manual testing and why do you need manual testing?
Well, as I am working in the BA the project, and currently I am responsible for all the manual testing, the 4 feature I am responsible. Manual testing is required as we are developing each of the user story. I need to actually validate the user story functionality step by step, so that it follows the expected and actual outcome to follow the user story. It is actually the primary the testing, the approach that every project is required. I can say that I have been spending over 60% of the time for the manual testing daily basis, because this project is getting developed as we are talking now.
So could you explain me what is testing lifecycle and what comes after manual testing?
Sure. So the manual testing is part of the testing lifecycle, and the testing lifecycle actually happens multiple ways. There is a back-end testing lifecycle, there is a front-end testing lifecycle, there is an automation testing lifecycle. Sorry, I hope I said the word properly. So let me go over the testing lifecycle for the manual test cases. At the moment, I am giving the reference from the BA Karun. So BA Karun has the front end, the back end, and the database. I am responsible for the user profile setup to the user profile match. So our lifecycle start with, we have a 2 weeks sprint. We have a sprint planning meeting. In the planning meeting, we actually estimate the important user story, and I get assigned based on the understanding and the user story assigned to me. I get the 6 to 7 user story. So my life cycle I actually start writing the test cases. I actually identify based on the user story, identify the positive test cases, negative test cases. I also start preparing the test data. And we have the internal test case management tools. It is very robust. So basically I can set up my the test scenario. I can the test scenario, test plan, and the design the test cases for each of the user story. In this user story, I can set up the positive test cases. I can set up the negative test cases. In the positive test cases, I create all the positive test cases. Example. As the new user on the BA Karun, I should not be able to create a user account without the complex password. Such an example, I should not be able to create I should not be able to pass given the password without the special character. I should not be able to create the password without the capital, the small, and the 8-digit. I should not be able to create the password without all 3 combination. I should not be able to create the password less than 8-digit. So all this scenario I actually add in the negative test cases. In the positive test case, I also create provide all the details, the name, email address, first name, last name, and the password, and the date of birth, and the religion. That's my positive test cases. Once the test case is complete, I actually do the review process with our testing team. Based on the feedback, I improve my test cases, and then finally I go to the test case, the technical review meeting, where I actually review with the developer and the product owner. Because at the same meeting, I get to know how the testing will be conducted, because I need the test data help sometimes from the developer, sometimes I don't need the help. So when I review, it helps them that my test cases is good, my test data is good. Sometimes I actually receive the test data from the developer, just the idea. So then I can create my own test data. So this review helps me understand how to test, at the same time review my test approach and the test cases. Once the code is deployed to the test environment by the DevOps engineer, I get to know from the chat group that the code is deployed. Now I actually start performing the positive testing, negative testing, and that if I have existing bug from the previous, I actually do the sanity testing. But at the beginning, I actually do some smoke testing so that I can know that the functionality is working as expected, because I have a 6 to 8 user story in the sprint. And after my testing is complete, create the test report. And before I create the test report, the tools I am using, it has the entire, actually the mapping, means the test case is mapped with the user story. User story is mapped with the feature. Feature is mapped with the epic. And the bug is mapped with the user story. It means it follows the same hierarchy. So it means I do not need to create an individual test report. It actually, when I save the button, it actually shows on my user story itself. Even in my test cases, the task I do under the user story, like the test case preparation, test data preparation, test execution. In the test execution, I actually refer my entire test cases. So my test cases is mapped with the task. My task is mapped with the user story. My user story is mapped with the feature. My feature mapped with the epic, and my epic is mapped with the project. That's how the traceability matrix I have in my project.
So you're talking about a lot of test cases. What is test case, and how do you create an effective test case? Can you provide me an example too of a well-written test case?
So for the BA, writing any user story functionality step by step is called the test cases. The creating a profile, there is a 6 steps. For each of the steps, like there is a series of the input I have to provide, and the input I have to select, and the input I have to, the radio button, multiple selection I have to provide. I have created 500 test cases for the whole scenario, because it is a feature, the profile creation, and in this I have segmented with the preference, the religion, education, the professional, the experience, and the country. So each of the segment I have separated the different test cases. In each of the test cases, I have actually parameterized, because some of the test case I pass with the Islam, some of the test case I pass with the Christianity, some of the test case I pass the Hinduism. So I have designed the test parameterization where I am passing the multiple test data each time to get the different test outcome. So that's the parameterization. And this test case I have created in a way that I can call them, I can reuse them in other test cases. So the answer of your question, create the test cases have to parameterize. You have to small the test cases. You have to segment your test cases, and you have to actually create the test case in a way you can refer these test cases on other functionality. That's the best practices of the test case I have been creating in the BA Karun, the user management profile creation feature.
Can you tell me about smoke testing and sanity testing, and when and how smoke testing and sanity testings are used?
I think I have mentioned just a little bit, but let me expand a little bit more details. In the case of our project and the features I am responsible, our smoke testing, the definition of the implementation is the moment the DevOps engineer has deployed the code for all the user story, then when I get the notification on the chat group, I just go over very high level on the interfaces, and then let's just click everything else. That's the definition of the smoke testing. Once it is all working fine, then I start actually executing the what is called my functional test cases, positive, negative, and all comes along. I can't remember the sanity testing. I think for us, some of the bugs was found, and some of the bug found from the previous, some of the bug is found existing bug. Once the bug is fixed, and then actually we have to retest them. I think that's the definition. I could be wrong. I'm sorry about that. What is
that's the regression testing.
Regression testing.
No, that's not the regression testing. So regression testing is for us, while I am focusing on the functional testing of the 8 user story in this sprint for the user management of Byakurun, I had previously hundreds of functionality already developed. So the test beside my functional 8 user story, I have to test the existing functionality. What is already built has been working as expected. So I have to test some of them to make sure my new user story has not broken my existing functionality. That's the regression testing in our case. And that's actually the definition of the regression testing. And most of our regression is fully automated. The backend automated and the front end automated.
Can you explain me how do you create a bug and how do you create the bug reproducible steps?
Yes. So I was testing the Byakurun, and one of the functionality I want to send requests to anyone from my profile. So basically, I search the name of the person I am searching, and it appear on my page. And I click the connect now. Once the connect now, I'm expecting that the button should be gray out, but it did not. Until I actually refresh the button, refresh the whole the browser, then once I refresh the browser, then this button got grayed out. This is the bug. So I created a bug. So how I created a bug, the number one, the test case, the bug title, once as a user, when I send a request to connect with somebody else, when I tap the connect button should gray out, but it is not gray out. Step by step is the open the browser, type the URL staging.byakurun.us, and type my username and my password. And I do not normally type my username, my password. I just put the gray out because the developer has their own information. And sometimes I give the username, the test username and the details. And then go to the search button and type in the search button and the Ashraf. And press the search icon. And I'm expecting the Ashraf appears on the page. Now I am actually clicking the Ashraf connect now button, and the connection is sent. Because on the right top corner, it gives the message connection has been sent. I got the screenshot. So now I expected the button should be gray out. It did not. Once I press the F5 or the refresh the browser, then the connection button is gray out. That's actually the bug. I put the screenshot, put the whole reproducible steps, and then I assign to my product owner.
So the last question is, how do you create a test plan for a new project, and how do you use the test plan?
I am not in a situation to create a project test plan. It was the responsibility of my test lead. But I can tell you, because I read the test plan, because I was working on my Byakurun project. So in the test plan, the things are mentioned. It talks about the project, it talks about the feature, it talks about the what type of functional testing need to be performed, what type of regression testing need to be performed. It talks about the test, the bug priority, when the bug will be high priority, low priority, medium priority. It talks about the functional testing, regression testing, negative testing, positive testing. It talks about the testing, test delivery. It talks about the test coverage, and all of these details mentioned in the project test plan. So this test plan is one of the core documents that the project test lead submit to the project manager, and it is part of the living documents of that project. That's all I can say.